So one of the things Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, was talking about when he talked about AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, and that's like a machine that's as capable as a human. He was saying once we get there, you can just tell the machine, build me a $1 trillion company, and the machine will go to work, basically. Build a website, products, negotiation with suppliers, whatever it is it needs to do to get there.
You're about to hear a conversation between two agency owners who collectively have over 30 years of experience helping brands sell millions of dollars. Enjoy the episode.
One of the things we did was we built a bot just for us. So we grabbed, there's ChatGPT, then there's GPT-4, which is the more advanced version of ChatGPT, basically, like the next generation. And we took GPT-4 and we trained it so that we embedded the information. We didn't really train it. Let's say we trained it so that it knows what our company is about. And we called it BerryBot. Yeah, it's an internal tool. And the way it works is it knows the information of the company. So it knows everything that's on our website. It knows our sales pitch. It knows internal documents. It knows like case studies, everything about the company. And then when we need to build something, so we need to build a proposal or we need to like send out something specific or maybe an email explaining one of the products or whatever it is, we just go to BerryBot and we ask it to do it. And it knows. So I could be like, give me a short pitch for this product of ours called True Content. And it can go and do that. And it can even do like website copy. It does everything we need, right? So but I think what's cool is it's trained on our data. So it knows like when I say this product, it knows what I'm talking about. I can say like, look, this is the pitch, or this is what the request of the client, pitch all of our services and products that match. And then it goes in and tries to pitch. It's not perfect, but then I can just go in, edit it, and polish it, and that's it.
I think it's a great tool because it allows you. If you have that set up for anybody, it allows you as the owner to have to pitch to do that. Your marketing team, your sales team can also use it. It lowers the amount of work that you have to do, especially with like something like a pitch, as you explained before, because then you can just tell, okay, well, I need to create a pitch for this client. I want to make sure that this client knows this from me, and then the bot will. Yeah, the AI will produce all that.
Yeah, but I think it's mostly a marketing and sales tool.
Yeah,
the way we're using it. I don't know if anybody else is doing this and using their tool differently, but it's usually just sales and marketing. I don't see the finance people or operations really using this. Maybe I don't know, but that's not.
Maybe if you put input on like hard data. Like, hey, this month we made this much, 2023, and all that stuff. Like, what would be, just in general for a company that needs to do a lot of especially a lot of proposals. That's just excellent.
Yeah, proposals, and then just also like it can do posts for social media, it can do website copy, it could do, just a lot of the different.
Do you sell it? How do you guys put on BerryBot as a sales tool for other companies? It's like a white label sales tool.
No, so we call it BerryBot because it's ours, and we're called Castleberry, and then we just use BerryBot. We're testing with one client that was interested, and so we made one for them. So it's with their information, their stuff, and we opened it up, and they can use it for themselves. And so we're testing that, but we haven't really said like, this is a new product or new service that we're offering. It's more like we told them about it, they were interested, and so we think, oh, well, maybe there's something there, right? Like let's test it out, see how it goes for them, whether or not they use it. And if they're using it and they like it, then we can say, okay, well, maybe we can turn this into a business.
Yeah. I love it. It's like, because it becomes one of those things that it's like your own internal goal that anybody can go and find out what it is that they need. And it's like, I don't know, not to become like a Jarvis, but it is one of those things that it's like, how long has the company been around for? Okay, even just as a trained sales tool and say, well, what is it that I'm allowed to say? What is it that I'm allowed to use my logo and all that stuff? You can teach it to do all that.
Yeah, you could, I guess, yeah. This is more where we're using it more for the marketing department, but that could be a training tool as well. Yeah, I think it's got a lot of applications. It's basically ChatGPT, but with your data, and like maybe better than ChatGPT in certain ways, right?
Since we do the brand strategies for our clients, new clients that we are onboarding, we sit down and then we tell them, we really dig into why they're doing things, like, really try to extract the information. And then at the end, like once the process is done, I'm like, okay, well, this document that we have put together for you as your brand, it has to be, it's a living document that has an agent to it. So this is what you guys represent. This is the spirit of your company. It is very important that not only you or your marketing team uses it, but that everybody in your company is aware of it so that everybody can march to the beat of their own drum. And if somebody ever gets tested on what is it your company do, you at least have that person to pretty much give the runaround way of what it is that they do. Which is really funny because a lot of people don't, even if you meet somebody in the street and they're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I work in HR for so and so. Oh, good. What did so and so does? Well, we are in the communications business. Tell me more. And these are people who are already, better in companies, 2 or 3 years within inside the company. And they're like, well, I don't even know what they do now. I just make sure that they hire the best talent. And I'm like, okay, you need to be, everybody needs to be culturally aware of the company. So I think that, yeah, having this repository of the company, like your own little Google could help be very useful, not only for discovery sessions with clients, sales, and marketing, which you talked about, but I also think that it could be like, so if you have a question, and rather than going to your manual of the business manual of your company, you can ask this bot and it will pretty much give you the exact information about things. So I think it has a lot of potential for growth.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how defensible it is though. That's the issue as well. Like if you're building this out, like can other companies just come in and do the same thing? So one of the things we've thought about is, well, one way to make it more defensible is we keep feeding it more information. So we learn from the questions the client is asking the bot, whether or not it answered correctly. And then we use that information to retrain it and to give it more context so that next time it answers even better. And we keep training it on like whatever the client is doing that's coming out. We keep getting more information and putting it into the bot, more information. And I think that's probably one of the only ways to defend the product going forward from somebody coming in and saying, I'll build a bot for you. I don't know, it'll be faster, maybe it'll be cheaper, but it probably won't be more accurate because we've been retraining it over a long period of time. That's what I think could be the only way to defend it, because otherwise, like, it's a race to the bottom, right?
Well, you have to optimize and optimize it. But one of the largest companies that I worked for was when Verizon had Verizon Wireless, which was pretty much their own identity for wireless phones, and it was just a huge competition for market. It was like on the cell phone wars right before the iPhone came out, and this was like a price competition between T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, which was Singular at that time, and it was just like a big thing. One of the things that they really tried to get everybody on board was like, hey, everybody in the company needs to know about the new phone, train on the new phone. So it would be like, here's the Motorola Razr X, different than the Motorola Razr, and everybody had to watch this, get it, see the video, and then play and all that stuff. But, if you need to find like a brochure or content about it, you have to like go into your folder, go into the marketing folder, go into the cell phone folder, go into new Motorola, find the new activations, see the cons, see the pros, see what the pitch, the thing. It was kind of like going to the library of Verizon to get all this information. I think that what you have is great because you can say, look, what are my selling points about the new product, so and so and so.
Yeah.
The bot can give you all that information, and you'll have to really.
You know that now that you mentioned Jarvis, I don't know if you know this, but you can pay for ChatGPT Plus, and it's $20 a month, and wow, it's pretty amazing. So there's something called Code Interpreter. I don't know if you know this, but It's part of ChatGPT. And so you have ChatGPT. If you want to go to GPT-4, which is right next to it, you can toggle between the two at the top. If you're paying us $3, you can do that. And then within GPT-4, there's Code Interpreter. Code Interpreter, what it does is you can feed it an Excel file, you can feed it code, you can feed it all these different things. And it'll actually it's like a data analyst on your team, basically. It's really interesting. So we have all this data that we crawl from the internet to understand what the audience is talking about, etc. And there are these huge files, right? 12,000 rows or something. It's really big. And what we do is we normally comb through it, and we use AI, obviously, but it was an AI we had built on top of maybe older infrastructure of AI when it wasn't as advanced as it is now, or as famous as it is now, right? It was the previous versions of GPT. And we trained it on that. It was working. But now it's we can grab the raw data, feed it to this code interpreter. It's like a Jarvis, dude. You feed it, and you can say listen, I want to see the roles, and I want to see the role of the person. So, content manager, general manager, whatever it is. I want to see the role, and I want to see the industry. But bear in mind, you're telling the code interpreter, bear in mind, the industry is not part of the data. You have to infer the industry, take your best educated guess. And the thing is okay, let me upload, and this is what it's typing, right? As we're seeing it. Let me upload the data as we move forward. Let me see if I can understand what the Excel file is about. So it'll check the Excel file and says, okay, I found these columns that I think work. Let me go ahead and start segmenting the roles and putting them there. And then let me grab the company name and start to see. And then it tells you, I have a cutoff point in my data, so I might not know all of them. Let me see which ones I know. So it'll do 50%. And the other 50, he's okay, I don't really know, but let me check the role and see if the role gives me an idea of what the company's about, plus the name of the company. So the name of the company has, BMW in it. It'll be okay, well, maybe this has to do with cars, checks the roles, and then it comes back and says, okay, this is automotive.
Check me itself, or does it check outside to the engine?
No, it checks with itself because it doesn't have access to the internet yet. And so it's that part's actually pretty accurate. It does stuff.
I think, yeah.
But it's amazing.
You can find demographics.
Yeah. And so you just feed it a bunch of data, and you're okay, how many people are doing this, or what's this? And it actually classifies all the companies. It gives each company an industry. So it'll be this is automotive, this is, HVAC, this is whatever, banking, just based on the name of the company. Some companies are from Latin America, so it'll say Banco Pichincha. And he's okay, this is banking, he knows. Without that being part of its, database or part of its original training, it won't know that specifically is a bank, but it just infers it by the name. If it doesn't know the name, it checks the role and sees. It's really, really interesting. And so it just pumps out the whole thing. And then I'm okay, show me a sample. And then he'll give you a sample, right? So okay, I check the sample. I'll be okay, yeah, you put a lot of companies in other or miscellaneous. That won't work for me. I need you to classify them. I can't have, 25% of the companies are other. Go in there. It's just okay, let me go into others and reclassify them and make sure I'm classifying all of them, and does all that.
Just giving you instructions too.
What's that?
It's kind of telling you what the next steps.
It tells you what it's going to do, right? And it's been impressive because the other thing we also do is we extract topics from different articles, and it's I'm going to apply this methodology called LDA. Let me go comb the data. Let me extract the stop words, and let me it fixes the data, so then it can use Python code or a different library to go through it. Then that labels the topics, and then it grabs the topics and it says topic 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it gives the topic a name based on what the keywords, and then it'll give you a list. It's not always 100% accurate. You still need to.
You have some there, but you still have.
Wow. Yeah, you still have 90% work.
You just gave me an idea for a project. We're probably not need to talk about it after the show, but yeah, I think that this is you will be helping a lot of projects, and to kind of give you into what I'm getting into is that more and more compliance for banks and businesses is asking for more detailed information about like demographics, socioeconomic things like that. So I feel that with what you have right now, you would solve some problems of like just trying to get data to pretty much say, yeah, this is what I have, and this is how we know that these individuals are having an equal opportunity to get a loan. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And what I found really fascinating too is it autocorrects. So it'll make a mistake and then it'll say, "Oh, I apologize. It looks like there was an error here. Let me fix the database first, or let me try it again. Let me try a different methodology." Then when it gets stuck, it tells you maybe we can do option. Here are some options: 1, 2, and 3. And then you can be like, let's go with option 2. And then you're like, okay, fine, perfect. Let me adjust the data then accordingly. And it redoes everything. It's crazy. I'd show you, but I think, let me see, give me a second. Maybe we can do something. It's just, I don't want to show the client's information. So let me show you what this is. So I'm not showing the top part because it has the client's name, but let's say it starts here. I need to extract insights and come up with topics and subtopics of what interests these users, analyze each text entry because there's a column called text, and determine what topic they belong to so that you can then cluster them together efficiently. Please make sure to interpret every entry regardless of language because we have mixed languages. Also make sure to only use the entries from the column labeled text. Ignore the column that have to do with articles. Don't use other for miscellaneous. We need specific topics and subtopics for all the entries.
Okay.
And so this is what it answers, right? All right, let's start by looking at the Excel file to extract insights. I'm gonna follow these steps: processing, topic modeling, see, LDA, latent dialect allocation, a cluster analysis presentation, and it's doing all this stuff, right? Yeah, and so in cluster analysis, and I can show the work, so we can go in there and see the work, the code. Then it's having an issue loading the Spanish model for Spacy. Spacy is like a library. I think it's Python, I'm not sure. And then it's doing all these things. Then it says, okay, here are the topics, and these are the keywords we extracted from each one. And then I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, it says topic 1. That's not going to be useful. I need the name for it. And then by itself, it says from the words top we can infer possible topics. And then it gives you a bunch of topics, basically. And then it asks me, would you like to proceed with clustering or adjust the number of topics? And then I'm saying, okay, group the ones that are obvious, process all the data, make sure you're not counting duplicates, and show me a table with topic, number of entries, and percentage of total. And then it goes on to do all this, basically. So I need to, it's incredible. And I need to, like, every now and then I'll have to be like, okay, keep going. Yes. No, don't do that. This was incorrectly labeled. Like, you have to sort of be there. The human is very much part of it still. But the machine is
a work.
Yeah. A lot of all the heavy lifting.
We have we'll talk about it afterwards because I think that there is you have a solution in your hands that you could really.
But you do too. Like you can pay $20 and use this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but the biggest thing is the input. It's again, you have these inputs that you already have.
But I can only imagine lots and lots of different companies have their data. They have certain things. They have Excel files. And they can just like feed this into this machine and ask it to do whatever it is they need. So and we've been playing this for the last, maybe 5 days, 6 days. I had heard of Code Interpreter and I had seen some tweets and I thought, wow, that's amazing. But I had never used it like so thoroughly. And it blows you away, man. Imagine what this looks like in 5 years. Imagine in 5 years, every application has this. It's right on Excel. You don't have to like copy paste or ask. I can even ask this Code Interpreter for an Excel file at the end. It's like, give me an Excel file, and it'll give me a little link. And I click the link, it downloads the Excel file.
I also think it would help to avoid manual manual errors too. For example, I'm just thinking about, we did a website for a company that did clothing, and they had more than like 10,000 articles of clothing, and everything had a permutation because you can have the red blouse, the same blouse in blue, the same blouse
Yeah.
on blue X, the same blouse
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
S, and then you also have how many brothers, how many orders. So you have like rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of data. And then when we were working through it, a lot of these things just didn't work because, you didn't put the right tag in the right like column within Excel. So the person was just kind of typing it and they made a human mistake. I imagine right now you can, with just what you say with the Excel and all stuff, if the content that you're putting into that Excel to start follow the same pattern, it can actually like throw it and tell you, like, hey, you're making a mistake. Human
Yeah.
making a mistake at this point. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I think so. It's interesting because it'll even say like we have some columns that say no if it doesn't apply,
Yeah.
and like some rows, and he'll be like, the machine will be like, I'm going to eliminate all the ones that say no because they're obviously not a good fit. And I'm like, yeah, that's correct. So he'll eliminate all of them so the data is shorter. And so it does take like, I think it's obviously going to get better, but right now it does take like several hours. Like you do need to sit down and like depending on the size of the data, right, and what you want. But in our case, we're inferring like industries or topics or different things, and so it takes a long time because you also have to review the data that it spits out. But if you want something simple, like it's done. It's a data analyst on your team basically for $20 a month. That's it's that easy. So and we're doing data and all these things for marketing, but you can do like financial statements.
I think you put this with you tie that with your CRM system.
Also, yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually, that's what I'm thinking. That it's like, if you have already, people who you have contact them in a certain month, you manage properly your CRM. This tool would be just great.
Yeah. Well, have you heard of do you guys use HubSpot?
I have used HubSpot, but I don't use it now.
Yeah. Well, so HubSpot has a chat called ChatSpot. And I think it's using GPT-4, if I'm not mistaken. And it's integrated into HubSpot, and you can ask it questions. You can be like, what are the last 10 leads that saw the email but have not clicked on anything?
Mm-hmm.
Show me the ones we have open deals, but they haven't seen our file in the last month. That's how it works. And they built ChatSpot. I think it's free for now. I'm not sure. I'd be lying, but it's basically that. It's connected to the CRM, and that's that. And I'm sure Salesforce has something similar too. Like,
I imagine they definitely is.
yeah,
Or they already purchased the company that did it.
yeah,
Think
basically,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think and I was telling a friend yesterday, I was like, AI is going to touch basically every single industry. I don't know if it's going to be the incumbents that survive or not, because I think a lot of the applications are like, okay, well, we already have, our CRM. Let's just build this on top of this. We can connect it this way, and we have a better product overall. It's hard to like take away the position of HubSpot by building something like ChatSpot when they've already built it and it's integrated.
Well, with the idea of what I have in mind, I have to have very specific, and then probably say, you know what, this is our own. This is my business, and I want to be only for my business, so no other competitor has it, or I don't want to even give that away. Therefore, hey, you guys will better develop this AI bot for us, and that would be. I read pretty recently that there's this school district in the Kentucky that decided to pretty much create all of their bus lines, like their bus routes for the schools, to be done via AI, and it was catastrophic because all the people got their bot, the AI produced the whole thing. It tells you how to get there for the best routes and stuff like that. But yeah, like the bot doesn't take in consideration things like how hard it is to make a left. If you have a bus and then everybody's going here, how long will it take you to take a left bus in a tough intersection? So when they pretty much launched it, probably they had like kids showing up at their houses at 10 o'clock p.m., just chaotic. So as you say, it is a great tool, but it definitely needs like still a lot of adult supervision.
Yeah, yeah. For now, I think we're what I've always been saying is like imagine this is a baseball game. I don't think we're even in the first inning. I think we're, still singing the national anthem. So we have a long way to go. And I think I just because if you look at the pace at which new things come out every week in AI, it sort of feels like it's maybe a year has gone by. Think, oh, okay, wow, a year goes by, and obviously now we have these new things. But it's almost like every week or every 15 days you have this evolution of things, and I think it's different from blockchain and crypto and all these different things because for two reasons. One, I think the application is a lot more straightforward, except compared to blockchain. So if we're
I
marketing,
think blockchain, the great thing about blockchain is that whatever I do, that I did because we're linked to the chain.
Yeah, and it's got to have its place, and it's coming, and I think we're all going to be using that. But it feels like the application is just harder for regular businesses. Like, oh, okay, so I'm a bank. How am I going to? I mean, banks are maybe obvious, but
the learning curve with AI is much. The learning curve with AI is much simpler. The way that when I started getting into AI, which was by the way through Ocho, who was like, "Gotta check this ChatGPT," and then so I knew like you were doing some AI work, and then I started like looking into it, and then I got some people that are in the industry, like Billy Gein and all those stuff that they talk about a lot of AI. And what really got you is the whole concept of like, well, so what it is that you do when you go to like your trip to Miami? Well, you have to plan the trip, see where I'm going to stop. I need to go to Walgreens because I have to go buy some diapers. And then what are you in the mood for? I'm in the mood for sushi. Let's find a sushi restaurant that gets to, and then everything you have to separate it and take all that information, put it together, and then like, okay, so this is my map of how to get to different places, and this is the way that it went. Like with a bot, as what I'm understanding from being, and again, I'm not in the site, I'm not so deep into it, I'm not so in depth and so knowledgeable as you are. But what I understand, which is the most public version of it, is kind of like, well, you can do the same thing just by writing the prompt. Like, hey, I need to go to Miami. I need to do this. I need to find the cheapest place to find gas, the cheapest place to find this particular diaper. I need to so along the way, and I also want to get sushi from this. Like, the VOD will pretty much AI will pretty much give you the answer to it in options as well. So then you can also even pick whatever it is that you do, rather than you having to do it all manually. And then I'm like, wow, it's just great. And this is just the basic, yeah. And this is just the basic thing that I know that people want to. It becomes one of those things that like, what? I'm not really comfortable with it. But then once you start like kind of seeing the way that you thought about doing things and the way that you had to get it done through this new way, it's gonna be like, wow.
Yeah. And it's what I was telling Melissa yesterday was like, there used to be punch cards, right? You used to be able to have people punch cards and put that into the computer and etc. Then they switched to like code, MS-DOS, you had to type into the computer what it is you wanted to do. And that was a huge improvement. And then from MS-DOS, we went to like the mouse and point and click and folders, which was Xerox, and then Apple copied and did all these things.
But that was the personal computing revolution.
Yeah. And that really opened it up to like everyone, right? Because you could just point and click, you didn't have to know code. And this feels like one of those jumps. Like after that, it was the internet that opened it up, and obviously, cloud computing, and we can do a lot more things, and it's all getting uploaded to the cloud.
Yeah, the first internet you could only read content, and the second internet
you can interact with it. Yeah.
Interact with it, yeah.
Yeah, we've been going through all these steps, but I think those steps are sort of minor compared to like the graphical interface, and now this other leap, which is like now you're just talking to the computer or the system with natural language, and I like it's just amazing, right? To be able to have a conversation with the machine, where it used to be like if I wanted to say, it's always been in my mind that if you want to give an instruction to a computer, you have to be very specific. You can't, like, if you put an extra dot, you error your code.
Well, like a code. If you code
code,
something,
right.
yeah, if you code an extra dot, most of
Yeah, or a slash or something. Oh, that won't work. And so, and this is the first time where I felt like that's not really the case. I can say, keep going. Yes, please. Move forward with this. That sounds good. I can say all of those expressions and it still understands that I mean, keep going. Versus before it was like, okay, you need to give a command. The command is config dot slash dot,
One
bit.
means yes, 0 means no. One.
Right. Right. And I was like, wow, like that's what's coming. So it's even more accessible to everyone because now it's just, I need this presentation. I want it in dark blue. I want the colors to match this. I want to talk about this. I want to, use statistics about how we're, losing water in this district and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it builds out the whole presentation, talking points, everything. You become a curator. So I was like, wow. So this is basically the next step in the evolution of machines. Like this is now natural language. We just talk to it like Jarvis or whatever the example is, right? I thought that was incredible. And so, yeah, I think AI, and I was looking at, I don't know if this is correct, but I think ChatGPT has 1.5 billion users, if I'm not mistaken, right now. Wow, 1.5 billion, man. Like that's a lot of people.
The numbers now, they're billions and trillions. I don't know, the new launch of the new product of Meta, it's in like seconds already had like billions of users registered.
Yeah. So it's
Those
like,
numbers are just incredible.
yeah. So I think the cat's sort of out of that because people are like, no, the internet. And I was like, the internet's already full of content. It's already full of machine generated content. There's no going back.
So here for my blockchain people, like I that's one of the things that I do like about the other side of like, I don't know which one is going to be developed. Of course, it's just saying that AI is just way more into it, But like the whole concept of blockchain, of subscribe to my podcast, or be part of what I do, and then you can actually pay me directly without having to go through Visa or trying to go through MasterCard or having to. Pretty much the content that I produce is the content that you will watch because that is what you like, and then therefore I'm getting paid directly. And that just universe of like real doing trade between, Isaac and Romulo, rather than having like to have to do it through people in between. That's a cool thing too. The whole concept of Web4, it was very exciting because in a way, you don't need a Facebook anymore or Meta to tell you like what it is that you want to watch. You pretty much figure out what it is that you want to watch, maybe through those tools, and then you can go into like the Web4 and pretty much interact directly with that individual. I like that. And I like the whole thing about, I feel bad because I do like Best Buy. We talked about this. It's like a store that pretty much sells all the appliances. Went to a Best Buy not long ago. It was a tax-free week, and now I see that they're selling other products. They're also selling like electric bikes and more appliances, more kitchen appliances that people, they would really want to like open the fridge door, kind of kick it to make sure that it's true. But yeah, like people go to those places, they see the product, and then they're like, okay, awesome. Let me see how much is in Amazon or Tech, Yeah, so I think that's probably might end up happening with that world of well, I don't feel comfortable with like Instagram and Meta and TikTok and all these people knowing my stuff, rather than I go into the Web4 and then there's that blockchain. However, what I just told you, it's so complicated compared to, I just need, I have a book report to do, and, I don't know, I was thinking this thing, it's like, hi everybody, you're going to have to do a book report on Rome. Okay, you are four, your team of four needs to talk about the 4 points of Rome. 1, the timeline of the Roman Empire. 2, when were the famous Caesars. 3, how did the conquer happen for the fall of the empire? Exactly, just taking the fall of the empire, I think the Caesars, you just go online and you still like, give me, break it down. rather than having to go to the library and doing all that
Yeah.
search.
No, it's over. I think we're gonna have to maybe do oral exams for the kids, so that and sort of make it more based on critical thinking and not so much like regurgitating information. And
So it's like how good are you at using that technology?
also, yeah, like how good are you at using that? I just think it's education is going to have to like adapt, seriously adapt. Anyway, I was telling Luis, I was like, I don't know by the time Lorenzo, who's a year and a half year old, by the time he's 20 or 18 or whatever it is, or 17, he's going to college. Like, will college be the same? Will it exist? Will it be the norm? I don't know. I'm serious doubt.
My son is studying BBK,
Yeah.
which is here in the United States, literally it's like a step before kinder.
Mhm.
Or in Venezuela, there was like kinder,
Pre-K.
preparatorio, primero, segundo. Here is
Yeah.
kinder would be your preparatorio, you know?
Yep.
So, but yeah, like he is going to be taking a test pretty soon on an iPad that's going to say what letter is this, and you have to answer correctly, and then all that data is going to be pretty much adapted to that child. So then they are going to know, like, well, you know what, like he needed more work on colors, but he knows his letters and all that stuff. And all this data is going to be proceeding to like, okay, so are they going to make curriculums individually for the future? Is it important for a kid like me to take like dibujo técnico Venezuela, where I can't draw and I'm a mess, rather than probably much putting it to somebody who could probably excel and be great at it, and then
Yeah.
so there's a lot of that too with like the whole data of like what is they going to do with education,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just think like it's super interesting times. In general, I think we're still barely scratching the surface of I think what's possible and what's coming in the next few years. I think new companies are going to get built. It's very hard to know like where. I think infrastructure for sure, and that's already happening. But I also think like, okay, well, these other applications, like how do you beat the incumbent who's already, you know what I mean? Like they just have to add AI to their product and it makes it a lot better. And they already have the people and the customers.
Right,
And
like, what is going to knock down Google?
yeah, well, I mean,
What's happening?
yeah, some people are saying ChatGPT. Google's already opened up Bard. Have you heard of this? Bard. And
Yeah, I knew that was the being purchased ChatGPT, and that's their
Right.
base. I know that
Yeah.
Google had its own thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
Bard.
it's with me with AI. The thing is that probably because you are so well structured and you know what it is that you're looking for, and you work with AI, you develop AI, you know your stuff really well. With me, it becomes one of those things that if she's a marketing induce or something that I can say, it's important that I learn this because it affects me. I'll do it. But then there's some things that I'm like, kind of scared about. There's some basic things that I'm scared about, like, well, you know, did that actually AI really did answer to the human?
Yeah.
Really quick on sentient beings. That's one of those things that I'm like,
Yeah.
but when I get into that, but
Yeah. I think we're far from that, though. I think we're far from that. Just because even though the advances are happening quickly, that's a lot of like that's a big jump.
but they say that the machine can think like 5 times faster than the human already.
Yeah,
Insane.
but it's not really thinking, right? It's doing math.
Yeah.
It's yeah. It's just I think what's interesting is we're shocked and in awe of AI and what it's doing, but I think what it's really saying is our world is more mathematical and our minds are more based on math and our languages than we previously had thought of.
The thought. There's
And
a
so
book
now
called.
we're sort of matching those two worlds together,
Have you read Think Fast and Slow?
No, I haven't. I haven't finished it.
It's
No.
a good book. It's a heavy book. But I listened to Audible, and I also read a lot of excerpts from it because they have actual informs. But it's that how humans if you're running and somebody says 300 by 50, you're like, wait, I gotta stop, think.
Yeah.
okay, machine doesn't have that. You're already competing against a brain that works completely different than
Yeah.
we do. On a more, as I said before, on a more mathematical basis. So we could play.
And I just think like I think people are going to do the work of two or three of what people do now with, so a small team of 3 people will, in a few years, would just be one person, because he'll have all these assistants, he'll write the report. This one will, crawl the data and extract whatever I need. And this one will just fix my Google ads, make sure it's optimized. You know what I mean? Like, we're just going to delegate all these different things to machines, and, the marketing team.
Well, I agree with that. It's going to be more about being creative, I don't know, than data analysis portion.
And so I think what people are, thankfully, I think this first era of AI is going to be, or this first inning is going to be the machine plus the human, right? Like, the human still needs to be there, criteria.
So you're saying that I'm safe?
For now.
Okay.
For now. For the first inning. The
I
second
don't have
inning,
to start making my, I don't have to start making my neck problem.
yeah.
So,
So one of the things Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, was talking about when he talked about AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, and that's like a machine that's as capable as a human. He was saying, like, once we get there, you can just tell the machine, build me a $1 trillion company, and the machine will go to work, basically. Build a website, products, negotiation with suppliers, whatever it is it needs to do to get there, So he's like, okay, so how do we make sure that when we do build out that technology, if we can get there, how do we make sure it benefits all of society and not like, a select few who can just be like, oh, just build a $1 trillion company here.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because you're telling me like, well, a machine can probably build a $1 trillion company, but it would be like, okay, let's pick toothbrushes. Let's do it with a toothbrush. But the machine really never came up with the idea of a toothbrush.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because now it has all this. I mean, I think new ideas get sort of built on top of previous ideas. And so before, I think it was the Renaissance period where people would meet in coffee shops and talk, and like ideas sort of flourished because there was a lot of contact between people. I think the internet is now mad at scale.
Yeah, it's communication. Yeah.
Right. And so I think, and the machines are learning from the internet. And so I just think they're going to put things together there.
They're going to be like, humans really need? And they're going to come up with the $3 million idea.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the point is that they can probably come up with ideas like Uber, but I don't know if they can come up with like a solution like a toothbrush. Not that I'm saying that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That it's more evolved. I don't know, because, for example, there was this guy online. I don't know I can't remember his name or anything, but when the ChatGPT first came out, he ran an experiment. He said, you know what? Everyone's using this as a tool and as an assistant. I'm going to use it the other way around. He's the boss. I'm the assistant. And so he was like, ChatGPT, I am your assistant, your human assistant. I can do anything that you're not capable of doing. You let me know, I'll do it. But I want you to build I think it was like a $1 million business, or a business that sells $1 million, or I can't remember the exact thing, but it was like, how do I turn $1,000 into $1 million? Something like that. And I will follow all of your instructions. And so ChatGPT began and said, okay, well, the first thing we need to do is we're going to build out a website. Then, we need a name for the business. We need to figure out our niche. And then I gave him options and he chose. And so it wasn't like perfectly, structured, but he basically had a conversation with ChatGPT, and then he would execute. So he would buy the domain. He built the website. He did all these different things that maybe ChatGPT wasn't capable of doing back then. And he was running that experiment publicly on Twitter.
Get a warehouse. ChatGPT, I don't have, get a warehouse. Well, I need the money to get the warehouse. I'll find the money to get a warehouse.
Yeah. And it was telling it like, oh, you made a mistake. Remember, I only have $20 to invest. And so it's okay. If we only have $20, we put 15 into Facebook ads, and then like he would say, okay, we'll write the ad, all these things, right? So, and it was like a small experiment. The guy got like 1 million followers or something, just because he was super interesting to watch. I don't know what ended up happening with that but I thought that was interesting, just like the reverse of the whole thing. So I'll be the assistant. I'll do whatever it tells me, and see where you end up. Anyway, so yeah, I think for small businesses, for marketers in general, it's you got to learn that now.
Yeah, you gotta learn, get at least get to the point where you know that ChatGPT exists and make it work for you. I think that's the
At least.
play with it.
Yeah, and Midjourney, right, for images and things like that. It's just it's at least the basics, so that when it does speed up, because it is speeding up, like sort of okay, well this it was capable of doing this, maybe now it's capable of doing something A plus B, but you're not starting at like X, Y, and Z. And you're like, wow, what is this world? Because
Well, we can try to create like a one sheet of like things that you should do to can do AI.
or maybe the next show we can like grab a bunch of tools and sort of show the websites and say like, look here.
I think that would be cool. I bet you people would appreciate that.
Yeah. So this is like you can build presentations, you can build images, you can all the different tools you can use. And they're not exactly expensive, right? Like some are, but most of them are not that expensive. And we can sort of show like, okay, this is all the things a marketer could do with AI. I think that could be a cool show. We have to prepare it though.
No, we have to prepare, and also like Midjourney, you have to open Discord. What's Discord? You have to explain things like we have to go through like
Step one.
maybe it's a three episode.
Yeah,
I think people will be appreciative of it. I mean, I'm like looking forward to learning that too from you.
Yeah.
Especially what I do.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Anyway, well, I think that's all, no, for today.
That's all for today. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Thank you for being part of Marketing in Motion.
All right.
Thank you.
See you later, man.